Neville Goddard, Power of Awareness, Chapter 24, Failure. Who doesn't want to fail fast? This book would not be complete without some discussion of failure in the attempted use of the law of assumption. Who hasn't felt like that? I know I have. It is entirely possible that you either have had or will have a number of failures in this respect, many of them in really important matters. If, having read this book, having a thorough knowledge of the application and working of the law of assumption, you faithfully apply it in an effort to attain some intense desire and fail, what is the reason? If to the question, did you persist enough? Did you persist enough? You can answer yes, and still the attainment of your desire was not realized. What is the reason for failure? Oh my gosh, I'm so glad he's covering this. Very necessary subject. The answer to this is the most important factor in the successful use of the law of assumption. The time it takes your assumption to become fact, your desire to be fulfilled, is directly proportionate to the naturalness of your feeling of already being what you want to be, of already having what you desire. Repeating the most important sentence, the time it takes your assumption to become fact, your desire to be fulfilled, is directly proportionate to the naturalness of your feeling of already being what you want to be, of already having what you desire. At some point, you're going to get that feeling where you step into it. You're here in your old self-concept, and then you detach and become your new self-concept. That is going to happen. I promise you. You must persist. That's just my little add-on. The fact that it does not feel natural to you to be what you imagine yourself to be is the secret of your failure. Regardless of your desire, regardless of how faithfully and intelligently you follow the law, if you do not feel natural about what you want to be, you will not be it. It must feel natural. It doesn't have to fit into your reality. It just must feel natural. It doesn't have to fit onto your property or in your house. It just must feel natural. You don't have to have a U-shaped driveway for all the cars you're going to own. It just must feel natural. If it does not feel natural to you to get a better job, you will not get a better job. The whole principle is vividly expressed by the Bible phrase, you die in your sins. You do not transcend from your present level to the state desired. How can this feeling of naturalness be achieved? Question mark. The secret lies in one word. Guess what that word is? Imagination. For example, this is a very simple illustration. Assume that you are securely chained to a very large iron bench. You could not possibly run. In fact, you could not even walk. In these circumstances, it would be natural for you to run. You could not even feel that it was natural for you to run, but you could easily imagine yourself running. In that instant, while your consciousness is filled with your imagined running, you have forgotten that you are bound. In imagination, your running was completely natural. You're chained to the bench, and you can imagine yourself running away, for example. Even though you're chained to the bench, which is what your senses are telling you, your senses are obviously telling you, all that is, I am God, right here in the middle. Your self-concept, my self-concept, all of our self-concepts. Right here, your senses are telling you, you're chained to this bench. I don't care what you say, you're not going nowhere. But in that moment, you imagine yourself running away from this. In that instant of imagined feeling of yourself running, you actually are running. You actually are running. In that instant, while your consciousness is filled with your imagined running, you have forgotten that you are bound to the bench. In imagination, your running was completely natural. The essential feeling of naturalness can be achieved by persistently filling your consciousness with imagination. Imagine yourself being what you want to be or having what you desire. I don't know why, a memory of fifth grade. After school, I believe it was, myself and one of my guy friends and one of my classmates' girlfriends. So there was a guy, two of us. I was on a bike, my buddy was there, and another classmate of ours was there. And I think her name, I forget her name. I think it was Dawn. This gal that moved really early. Anyway, I would go on my bike, crash onto the grass, imagine I was hurt. She would be a nurse and he would be a doctor, and they would come over to me and they would start taking care of me. And they would fix me up. Then I'd get up, all fixed up, get on my bike, go back, I don't know, 20, 30 yards, turn around, get on my bike again, come back, crash again onto the grass. They'd come over, they were the doctor and the nurse, and they would take care of me again. And they were just touching me, fixing me. And I'd be like, oh, and then I'd be all fixed. And I would get up and I would do it again. I don't know how long we did it or how many times we did it. I don't even know why we did it. But we were having the imagining of being grown-ups, doctor, nurse, and a stuntman. When I was a kid, I really did want to be a stuntman. That was on my list. That was the only thing on my list. But there I was doing a stunt, and they were the doctor and the nurse putting me back together. Humpty Dumpty. But nothing told us we couldn't imagine like that right after class, right after school was over. Nothing said it's not okay to imagine doctor, it's not okay to imagine nurse, it's not okay to imagine stuntman, or it's not okay to ride your bike. Nothing told us we couldn't imagine that. And as a matter of fact, if you were an adult walking by, you look at these kids and you just look, they're just playing. Of course they're playing. What do? They're kids. They're imagining, they're playing. Why don't we look at each other and say, oh, look at those people over there. They're playing. They're not playing, they're just sitting there. Really? They could be playing. Yeah, they could be playing. Some people go to the park and play chess, etc. But the idea is, you get the idea. When do you start using your imagination and frolicking with it? You got to start somewhere. You have to put it into use. You've been doing a good job keeping yourself right there, but if this self-concept is not enough and you want more, you want to have another experience, it's up to you to use your imagination playfully and go to the next self-concept. They're there for you. The essential feeling of naturalness can be achieved by persistently filling your consciousness with imagination. Imagine yourself being what you want to be or having what you desire. Progress can spring only from your imagination, from your desire to transcend your present level. What you truly and literally must feel is that with your imagination, all things are possible. You must realize that changes are not caused by caprice, but by a change of consciousness. You may fail to achieve or sustain the particular state of consciousness necessary to produce the effect you desire, but once you know that consciousness is the only reality and is the sole creator of your particular world and have burnt this truth into your whole being, then you know that success or failure is entirely in your own hands. Once you know, what are we going over repeatedly and consistently? Once you know that consciousness is the only reality and is the sole creator of your particular world and have burnt this truth into your whole being, then you know that success or failure is entirely in your own hands. You must take that in. That is called, it's now responsibility time. I have to take responsibility for what I'm creating. Am I creating something I love and cherish and I want to be more of? Or am I not? Is this something in my current self-concept, that's what this is, wherever you are right now, is there any desire within you that you want to be something else or have something else or do something else or be something else or whatever? If there is a desire, You don't want to be stuck in sin. Sin means not listening to your desire and applying righteousness into your subconscious and objectifying your new reality. Sin means not to follow that righteousness. Sin means to also keep looking to the world and getting stuck in a loop, not knowing how to make an impression into your own subconsciousness because you're letting the world tell you what to think. That's not the answer. That's also dying in your sins because you're stuck in this loop. So you want to embed upon yourself the idea of responsibility that you have created this. You have created exactly, precisely the position you're in all facets. But that's okay. That means you know how to use the law of assumption already. That means whatever you are in self-concept wise, that means you now know you can change that. And there's nothing wrong with changing. It's totally permissible. It's permissible to leave this self-concept and go ahead and occupy any self-concept. Millionaire, billionaire, trillionaire, it doesn't even matter. Doctor, nurse, like I was describing, all of these self-concepts are available to you. You want a different house? You want to live by the beach? You want to be married with children? It doesn't matter. Wherever you are as a self-concept, it can be changed to another self-concept. If the desire is within you, that means it's natural to you. If the desire is in you, that means it's natural to you. Why would you be filled with some other person's desire? This guy over here who's a bank robber, he has desires within himself. We know we're just playing here, okay? But this guy who's a bank robber, there's no bank robbers anymore, but let's just imagine like the 19th, Bonnie and Clyde, right? This person who's a bank robber has desires because of their self-concept. They get their desires from all that is, God, I am, because that's what is going to help propulse them to a new self-concept. Desire will help them someday propulse out of that profession, hopefully. But the idea here is that their desire doesn't fit your self-concept. Your desire that you get doesn't fit their self-concept. That's what they look at you like you're a square in the old vernacular, and you look at them like they're completely crazy, because they are, right? But your desire is for you only because it fits you naturally. It naturally goes with you. It's your next growth pattern. The desires, after you objectify them, you make the subconscious impression, you become this new self-concept. The new desires coming into this new self-concept are definitely not the same as this one. Because those new desires that go into your new self-concept, they fit naturally into you in the new self-concept. You will continually have desire. No place ever is going to be without desire. So the desire you have here is going to propel you also to hope and wish for another reality. Maybe it's this one. Whatever that one has in store for you to grow through, to grow for Him that made you. Once you know that consciousness is the only reality and is the sole creator of your particular world and have burnt this truth into your whole being, then you know that success or failure is entirely in your own hands. Thought I'd repeat that because it's the most profound. It's a tough one. It's a tough pill to swallow. I know I've been at this for quite a while, supposedly in time. Oh boy, it's a tough one to swallow. I promise. I feel for you if you've never heard it before. But I promise you, if you could swallow it as fast as possible, if any advice I could tell you after 3 1/3 decades of this material and working on this constantly, it's to swallow that sentence as fast as you possibly can, because after you do so, then it'll all open up to you. You have to take responsibility for the fact that your reality is your creation. It hasn't been anybody else's or anything else's. It's been yours the whole time. Once you do, then you know that since you did that, then you can do more. That's the beauty of that. Whether or not you are disciplined enough to sustain the required state of consciousness in specific instances has no bearing on the truth of the law itself. That, an assumption, if persisted in, will harden into fact. Oh my gosh, that's so wonderful. The certainty of the truth of this law must remain despite great disappointment and tragedy, even when you see the light of life go out and all the world go on as though it were still day. You must not believe that because your assumption failed to materialize, the truth that assumptions do materialize is a lie. If your assumptions are not fulfilled, it is because of some error or weakness in your consciousness. However, these errors and weaknesses can be overcome. Therefore, press on to the attainment of ever higher levels by feeling that you already are the person you want to be. And remember that the time it takes your assumption to become reality is proportionate to the naturalness of being it. And it is your nature because you wouldn't have the desire. It wouldn't be in your spectrum. It wouldn't be in your purview. It wouldn't be in your mind or your ideas or your thoughts unless it was natural to you. It might seem unnatural to want that Ferrari 2025, whatever. But if you have a desire for it, then it's natural to you. But you're already driving the Ferrari 2025, but you haven't convinced your current self-concept of it yet until you impress that subconscious, until you learn the smell of the interior of that car and you fall asleep smelling it, feeling that steering wheel. Have you gone to the dealer and sat in one yet? There was a guy, I think his name is Dan Pena. He gives some kind of boot camp training to acquisitions. And he offered, I think it was either incoming students or anybody on the internet, if they would go to a dealer, film themselves getting into a Rolls Royce and sitting in it, test driving it, or getting ready to test drive it, he offered them, I think, a free course, which at the time was either valued at $15,000 or $18,000. He offered anybody a freebie to his course. And it's in England, and nobody did it. I mean, I think one of thousands of people that had the opportunity to go do that did it. Now, what does that tell you? What does that tell you? If this person here wanted to have success and wealth and everything that goes with it, the Rolls Royce. I forget what I mentioned, if I mentioned Rolls Royce or Ferrari, but it is a Rolls Royce he offered, that the offering was about. But if this person wants to have a Rolls Royce, a Ferrari, or whatever, doesn't matter, a Lamborghini, it's all good. But does this person have the consciousness with which to go and sit at the dealer and imagine himself by sitting in the car, just going to test drive it? That's the question. If it feels natural for you to go to the dealer, doesn't matter what's in your wallet or your bank or anything else. If it feels natural to you, or if you can just go ahead and take the leap and make it feel natural to you, you're going the right direction. Now you're going into the place where feeling starts to become a reality because you're taking the leap. The leap's called faith. You're opening it up. You're opening the whole naturalness of this whole process. You're opening up the ability for it to be possible for you, no matter where you are. Are you willing to go into the bridal gown shop? I don't know what they're called. I believe that's what it is. And just start browsing around and talking to the salesperson like, yeah, I'm going to be shopping in about 6 months to a year, and I just wanted to come and take a look in here. And you're single. Your present occupation of self-concept is single. You don't even have a spouse or boyfriend or fiance. But you go in there with the imagining of your current, of ignoring your current reality, and you're taking the leap that you're going to be coming in soon. Are you willing to do that? Isn't that what imagining does for you? You go and you play. If in fact you are in your self-concept and you're not well and you are not able to do certain things, what does it mean for you to drive? If you can drive and you're not able to do something, maybe because your leg or your hip or your ankle or what have you is in a bad way, are you able to take your car and drive to the park where the basketball courts are and walk out there like as if you're going to go play? You're not going to go play, but in your imagination, you're going to go play. You're walking straight towards the courts where there's a pickup game, and you're walking straight toward the courts, and you're going, yes, I am healthy, I am strong, I'm here to play ball. That's all happening here. You get over there. Who cares if you sit on the bench and you watch them play? At least you can sit there and imagine yourself playing. Are you willing to do that? Are you willing to take that leap so you can make the impression into your subconscious that it is natural to you? You're not healthy, you are healthy enough to play basketball. Yes, you are. You're not wealthy, you are wealthy enough, because you're going to go out there and prove it by taking a test drive, or at least sitting in the car, smelling the interior. Are you willing to play at being a bride, going to shopping for a wedding gown? Are you willing to have play here? Play, play, play. That's the point. All right. Wonderful, isn't it? Naturalness. All we got to do is jump into it being natural to us. Just the natural feeling of it. Okay. Closing poem by Emerson. Man surrounds himself with the true image of himself. Every spirit builds itself a house, and beyond its house a world, and beyond its world a heaven. Know then that the world exists for you. For you, and the phenomenon is perfect. What we are, that only we can see. All that Adam had, all that Caesar could, you have and can do. Adam called his house heaven and earth. Caesar called his house Rome. You perhaps call yours a cobbler's trade, 100 acres of land, or a scholar's garret. Yet line for line and point for point, your dominion is as great as theirs. Though without fine name, build therefore your own world. As fast as you conform your life to the pure idea in your mind, that will unfold its great proportion. Last sentence, repeat, repeat, repeat. As fast as you conform your life to the pure idea in your mind, that will unfold its great proportion. Emerson, wow. It isn't just Neville that awoke. William Blake, it isn't just William Blake that awoke. It isn't just Ralph Waldo Emerson that awoke. There's been many speakers through the ages. I remember learning from Seth and the Seth material that the truth is always available. It is that we've never had a supposed time. All time is now. I get it. But we have a history thing we call history. We have people in that history, Emerson, Blake, Neville. And there's never been a time, quote unquote, that we've been without the truth of our being. I learned that from Seth, and it really dumbfounded me at first, but it means what I thought at the time was Seth was the only truth. Come to realize Neville is pretty good. Joseph Murphy, we talked about recently, I haven't studied yet. Ralph Waldo Emerson in his prose, William Blake, Jerusalem. I mean, where does it end? It's always been exposed. The truth of our beings. What is the Bible but the 66 books of telling us the truth over and over? Law of assumption. Wonderful, wonderful chapter. Oh my gosh. Power of Awareness, chapter 24, Failure. We'll see you in the next one.